On today's episode of Watch Jericho, we are back again with the freshly painted drivetrain for the S10, and today we got to try to get it ready to go in. What is going on, guys? I'm Watch Jericho, and as you can hear in the background, there's a ton of kids here playing Tokyo Drift over there on the other side. So, sorry for the noise, but we got work to do. So, today, we're gonna get this old leaky oil pan off of there. Obviously, I think that thing got dropped because it's always been leaking out of the bottom of the pan. So, that should resolve that when we switch to a brand new pan. And we're gonna try to get the engine mounts on, possibly a water pump. We gotta get the valve covers off, get those over to the smart washer so they can start being washed. We've got gaskets for the valve covers, gaskets for the oil pan. Starter needs cleaned, painted, because I don't want to put a starter on it for no reason. And then I think at that point we should be able to set this thing in the car. So I've got the engine mounts, they're sitting right there. I can start putting those together on this side right now. And we've got new spark plugs. I just ordered a ton of stuff from O'Reilly's. So in a few minutes, we should have a lot of parts for this thing, and we can get to work on assembling it. Final assembly already. There's one thing I need to know here, and that is if the 550-916 is the drive-by-wire throttle body. There's the transmission harness. Let's see, here's the engine harness and injector harness, and what's the main power harness? O2 sensors, the screen, the terminator, that's all right there. I do not think this is the drive-by-wire harness because we're missing one harness here. So we can convert to that with another set of wires, but this appears to just be a standard cable throttle terminator, which I'd rather be drive-by-wire, but also we have a cable throttle buddy. So a fun pro tip for you guys, double check everything before you're at the last possible second of your build. Make sure your trans connections fit. I mean, they're the same on the 60 and the 80, but there are wires flipped in there. Make sure all the sensors match, so crank and cam, they do actually need to match, otherwise you need to change sensors. So just a quick run through while it's completely apart to make sure I don't have to buy too much. I do know the old oil pressure sensor was the wrong one, and luckily it broke off. So we're gonna swap that out and we'll be home free for our sensors, I think. The oil pan is off, a lot of the parts have been cleaned up, and this is our first look inside the old 5.3. Of course, we have junk heads, as we knew. 706s, nothing fancy like we usually end up here, like 243s or, you know, any of the better heads. 706s, they're gonna get the job done. Now you can see that this side of the engine looks brand new. Virgin metal, absolutely beautiful. Not sure what happened here, but this side of the engine, I think it's a PCV failure, is all carbony, but just on the valve train. The heads still look incredible, so the oil was clearly getting all the dirt out of there, except for right there. You can see there's a little bit of dirt right there. That's about it. Other than that, the castings look fresh, so that's cool. And then down here in the pan, you can see it's a little dark, but hey, nothing terrible. Get a little hit of this tiny little bit of dirt down there in the bottom. Oh, it's just carbon. It's just gross oil. It's really not. I thought it might have been a little bit of sludge, but it's really not because I just touched the bottom of the pan without displacing anything. That oil pan pickup there is leaving, of course. We've got a new one. We've got a new gasket. This thing was leaking like a sieve, and I cannot wait to finish cleaning up all the surfaces here and putting it back together. Oh, also we've already cleaned up this head, so I've got to finish cleaning up the intake ports right now. We're knocking those out. This one's been cleaned, and the others, I mean, they've all been cleaned, just they could be a little bit better. So we have a gigantic 3M Roll-Lock bristle brush here, like usual, and we're using that to clean up all these surfaces. So all the gasket surfaces, especially the oil pan down there at the bottom, are getting knocked out right now. And then we can put on our new pan. Have at it, dog. Bzz, bzz. I'm running at about half speed, so yeah, be nice to her. And I also found with that giant disc, just the little up-down motion's kind of the move. I spent quite a bit of time over here cleaning up our valve covers, and as you would expect, they look newer than new. All of our bolts right there, ready to go. All of our new gaskets. We just went to O'Reilly's, picked up a ton of parts, including a new water pump because the water pump was trash. And we've got our water pump gaskets. We've got everything, I think. A new filter, basically everything but the valley cover gasket, because I don't know what we're gonna do there yet. We might switch to a billet one. So we do need to sort that out. And while Eric's finishing up the gasket surfaces there, I'm gonna start putting the harnesses back on the body. We got a lot to do in a little bit of time. Jared's over here trying to get out the one, of course, as all LSs are, that last stud there is broken. When we tried to take the headers off, two were broken. The front one had some stick outs so we could use vice grips, and this one was fully inside the head. So,
you got some WD or something?
I do. It looks like it's moving. Did some fancy masking on here. He's got it all taped up. He's got a washer on there to make it easy to spin.
Can't see that piece though.
Oh, the camo. Well, there it is.
First try.
Not bad. Usually you gotta break off 3 of them. The third one works. Sweet! I get to put all the header bolts back. That'll be cool.
There you go.
Usually you just run 5 of them on a good old LS. Harbor Freight comes through again.
Work here is done.
He's out. Speaking of, Jared's done. Eric's got our mating surfaces cleaned up, and it's just a matter of minutes, and I went over and got the wiring harnesses cleaned up, and they are on the frame. So we are getting close to putting the cab back on this thing. And now Eric's starting on the oil pan.
Safety glasses.
Yeah, you just squint. It's just rubber, it's not metal, so you're good. Many hours later, valve covers cleaned up on, new gaskets, the new engine mounts with poly inserts on. We could have painted the bolts, I guess, but I didn't realize we were reusing those. New oil pan, the Holley swap pan, it's on and looking real nice, all sealed up. And obviously the new transmission mount is on here as well. It's nice and pretty. So we are ready to stick this thing in the truck. So right now, we're gonna roll it over there and do our first test fit, and hopefully the transmission and the engine line up. Unfortunately, we don't know if the cab lines up, and it's gonna be a little bit before we do.
Mighty Fi! Hey, watch your feet.
All right. Okay, Eric and I are gonna take over the trans. Or if you want to guide the trans to me, that's probably the easiest thing to do. You pick it up, I'll pull the jack out in case he can push the engine in. So you ready? Sorry, I know I didn't hit you though.
Hold on. I gotta move my leg. Or you grab it and then I'll help you.
You don't need legs.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. You tell me where you guys are going.
Yeah, go ahead and bring it down, Casey.
You're gonna need to give him pliers because that pipe sucks, or run it yourself. I mean, I know he can do it.
Watch.
It has a hole in it, but it's not right.
It is. Get the lean on it.
It's totally not the right pipe. 1000% not.
Yeah.
He's saying words, but
Ask Casey, it's perfect.
just be ready to.
I modified it the other day.
Should be playing Snoop Dogg right now.
Anyway,
Actually,
that motor mount went right in.
Somehow it's nailed.
That motor mount's in too. And that fits as well. Boom, daddy. I think it had more to do with my hand than your dropping skills.
We just
but
accidentally
whatever.
dropped it. How on earth did that work?
It's the only time something's gonna go this smooth.
Yeah, never again. All right, I hope you guys are as surprised as we are here. This just went right in and seems like it's perfect. So that's it, a 5.3 and an S10. We gotta buy some bolts. We don't have the bolts here for the poly mounts. So they're real long M12 bolts, and I need some like grade 10-9 probably. But what you gotta tighten?
No.
Find something cool. Oh, no, you can leave it for now. Just in case.
I'm gonna loosen it.
Fine. Just take it off. Now that the engine's in, we install the piece de resistance, the intake that costs more than every single dollar we put in this so far. This thing's like $1,200. Okay. I think it lined up right there, didn't it? Or does it need to come a little bit forward? It does look like it needs to come. Ooh, I gotta change the steam port. Wow, that looks amazing. Check out the progress in what? How many days are we having this? 5 days now? 5 days to go from a trashed frame to everything painted, engine in, poly mounts. We're almost ready to hook things up. The one thing that we need next is headers. We'll probably just spray some ceramic paint on those and run them because we have to at this point. But if we can, I'll try to get some Holley headers overnighted, possibly long tubes or something, so we can get back where we actually need that exhaust to sit. So exhaust is a challenge. We've got a new water pump, which we can put on right now. We've got all those mating surfaces all cleaned up, and water temps back on. I've already started throwing the sensors back on, so I think we're on a roll here. Eric and I have been working away for the last few hours. We got the AC bracket hiding back in there. The starter has been cleaned and painted. The drive shaft has been test fit multiple times, and then we went ahead and got rid of the rust. A little bit of that engine silver on there to make it look better. I think that looks a million times better. The engine and trans are looking killer in the chassis. So now we got to get a fuel tank back into the chassis as well. It's got some nasty old gas in it. We got to clean that up and get it mounted along with that drive shaft. Gas tank probably needs to go in first because it looks like the drive shaft will be in the way. So we are on that. That'll be all going down tomorrow, but this looks incredible. What an absolute masterpiece, if I may say so myself. Also on the tomorrow list is the transmission cooler lines. We've got to get those cleaned up. I just put something else, shift linkage, that stuff's got to get cleaned up. Just a lot of cleanup and putting back together right now, and then we can figure out how we're going to ship this thing. Hopefully the stock column shifter works. I don't know if it will yet. And hopefully the stock throttle pedal works as well. We've also got to clean up the AC compressor, get that ready to go back on the engine. I don't know if we're gonna have AC going when we want it to be on there, but we do want to have AC eventually. So at least the compressor will be in there and all the accessories will be in place to make that happen quickly when it's time. Obviously the truck's cab will still have AC. So we got a ton done today. Like I said, I mean, obviously the engine's in, the trans is in. It may have to come back out 1 or 2 more times, but hey, it may not. You never know. We need to pick up the bolts for the engine mounts and really just start doing finals on this stuff. As soon as the 3-day flood in Kansas stops, it should stop tonight, we should be able to get that outside, get it washed up, and get ready to drop it back on the chassis. So one of the big things is obviously getting the drive shaft on, getting the fuel tank in, and that is most of the big parts that are going to take a while. And then I think we can set the cab on here and we'll be basically home free. The transmission should all be ready to go by then. So, you know, we're just moving along as fast as we can here. We are down to what now? It's the 25th. So not a lot of days left. What's that? 20 days. Cutting it close. Anyway, at least it seems like it's coming together. We still don't have a radiator. If you haven't planned on being there yet, come hang out with us. Whether this truck runs or not, we're going to be there hanging out. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop, watchjrgo.com for cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I'll talk to you next time. Well, Paint Man.
Not me.
I mean, you did the drive shaft magic. I think the drive shaft looks really cool and it's fake aluminum there. That's a nice setup. And we do have to get a steam port. I forgot that's on the list because the intake doesn't sit down right. So I can bend that. Obviously it'll bend and it'll be just fine. But we can also run over to ICT Billet and grab one of the braided kits, and that's probably the fix for that for real. That way we can just have a nicer part there. Oh, yours?
I don't have the key to yours. Oh, see, I was interested in it. I gotta get used to being in a GM again because the Ram was double.
And then GM's lock and then hold?
Lock and hold for,
yeah,
I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds.
Ford's lock and hit 2 times to start that bad boy.
Yeah.
Eric got a brand new truck, 2022 2500, so, you know, you can't stop talking about it.
Everybody's making fun of me.
It's a nice truck. It looks like an AT4, I like it. Oh, power steering. Man, we got some stuff to figure out here. We also need to check the accessory bracket fitment with the steering box here. hopefully that all works out as well. We are obviously winging it, but I think our winging it is going to pay off. The body harness is even back on the chassis, so we're making good progress. We're going to try to use a little bit of the factory wiring. I'd love to ditch it all, but there's a few things that's just simple to keep, and those are turn signals, brakes, headlights, all that fun stuff. So I want to keep the fuse box for that. Anyway, we're making progress. We got a lot of figuring out to do, but it's going to come together.